All right, let me see. Am I actually streaming? Am I live? Hello? Waiting for Erica Draw stuff. Let me see. Okay. Okay, I'm seeing... Apologies for anybody who is waiting on me to get my crap together. I'm kind of... Okay, I am live. Alright. Well, welcome to my stream. I am Erica Batten, and this is Erica Draw Stuff. Apologies for that. I was having some technical difficulties, and it was just kind of taking me a second to get everything back where it is supposed to be, because I've been gone for a couple weeks. You may have noticed. Yeah, and my reasoning for being gone is I was in California. For anybody who hasn't, like, followed me personally or anything like that, I live in Kansas City, and my boyfriend lives in Los Angeles, and so it was my first time going out there to see him since COVID. So, yeah, I did that. I couldn't really figure out a way to stream things, from my iPad. My battery life on it isn't really all that great. So I went ahead and just kind of forgone that. And then on the day I was supposed to fly back, there was a giant snowstorm in Kansas City. So I had to wait a couple days. Luckily, Southwest was super cool about that. They actually encouraged us to, reschedule our flights. So, yeah, I did that and got a couple extra days in Los Angeles and didn't have to deal with the snowstorm because I hate the cold. I am actually hoping to, within the next year, move to California. Hopefully San Diego. I really like San Diego. And yeah, never have to deal with this weather ever again. So, yeah, if you've seen my other social media, you probably know that this is going to be a Suicide Squad themed, thing. So, yeah, I am totally new to it. I know very little about it. My boyfriend, while I was out in LA, got me into Peacemaker, which then got me into watching Suicide Squad 2. And I enjoyed all of it. I absolutely love King Shark. Speaking of which, that's my thumbnail. And here's the original painting. I actually did it to advertise for the stream, and it's actually going to be, it's been sold, and it's going to be going to its home tomorrow. So, yeah. And I'll be selling prints of that at Planet Comic-Con. Speaking of which, I will be at Planet Comic-Con. That is April 22nd through the 24th in Kansas City, Missouri at Bartle Hall. So yeah, if you're in the KC area and you're a comic nerd, I highly recommend dropping by and paying me a visit. So yeah. Let's see. Anything else? Not really a whole lot else that I can think of. I don't know what people tuning into my feed is going to be like tonight. Most of my people are Kansas City people, so they may or may not be watching the Super Bowl. I'm not really a huge sports fan. I kind of watch it a little, I can hold a conversation about it, but I'm not big into it, so since the Chiefs are out, it's whatever. So, but I imagine a lot of people are probably watching it because it is the season finale of football. So, Anyway, I'm going to get started with Peacemaker, since that show is the one that got me into watching and getting into Suicide Squad. I didn't know anything about Suicide Squad. I'm not really that well versed in DC Comics. I grew up with a lot of Marvel, and I'm probably very much in the minority, but I've been kind of put off by Marvel with the MCU. You know, it's not to say I hate it. There's still some movies I like. It's just, I don't know. I have opinions about a lot of it, but, you know, I don't want to ruin other people's good time either, so I am not terribly outspoken about it. But yeah, so DC. Yeah, I knew nothing about Suicide Squad when the first movie came out. I still haven't seen it, and I never really wanted to because I was very put off by Jared Leto's Joker. He's just hard to look at. I don't know. It's the same reason why I can't watch TMNT. The designs for the turtles, it's just off-putting to look at, so I just can't. Kind of the same thing. I'm kind of weird and touchy about that. And I'm sitting here drinking some hard cider. Hopefully it'll make me a little more chatty. So, yeah. But I am kind of a big wrestling fan, which is kind of what piqued my interest a little bit in Peacemaker, plus people showing me the video of the dance. So, yeah, I actually do enjoy John Cena. He's not my favorite wrestler, but he's fun enough. He's got a pretty good sense of humor about stuff. I have seen him live at, like, WWE house shows whenever they come to Kansas City. I haven't followed WWE in a while. I got kind of bored with it, so I'm more of an AEW fan now. Hence the Hangman Adam Page that I painted a few weeks back. Excuse me. But yeah. So that is who I'm drawing. I'm keeping it pretty simple. I don't mind showing my sources, but seems very in character, so that'll be my Peacemaker. And honestly, I think he does a pretty fantastic job at it. Like, I enjoy the sense of humor for it. I like the breakdown of toxic masculinity with his character. And, you know, breaking down kind of that complicated relationship that he has with his father, who is a very ardent white supremacist. You know, I think that kind of speaks to having, you know, when you grow up in a family where family members are racist, you kind of have that weird relationship where it's like, they're your family and you love them, but at the same time, you know they're horrible and wrong. And there's very much a big struggle with that. So, you know, watching him struggle with that did kind of resonate with me because, you know, I live in Missouri. So, yeah. And also, I love the fact that Peacemaker is bi, which came out in the most recent episode. And I was like, cool. Which also resonates with me as well. So, yeah. It's been a pretty fun series, and I absolutely love Eagly. Eagly and King Shark. Yeah, I'm just kind of... It's not totally spot on here because, you know, you could see the placement and everything. It's not meant to be an exact copy. I'm just doing it kind of based off of that, and right now I'm just working on the gestures. I've talked in previous videos about how important getting a gesture down is. In fact, I would say it's just as important as getting proportions. Because, you know, you can work on getting your proportions done and, you know, all scientifically correct, and that's great, but it's not going to do much if you don't really believe the pose because the gesture's completely off. It can look totally stiff and very uninteresting. And if you're wanting to get into something like comics or animation, gestures are definitely something you want to get well versed in. So, here I am, and I will probably do more instructional videos in the future. I've been going really back and forth in how I want to approach the stream. I'm still really new to videos and streaming and all of that. Usually I just post, you know, my drawings and talk a lot of smack in comments. But so yeah, this is still really new to me. I'm thinking about doing like kind of a themed quick sketch version and then doing more deep dives on more in-depth paintings recorded instead of live, just in hopes that, you know, it's a little hard with something to kind of fly off the cuff is what I'm finding. So that's kind of where I'm going with that. Like, I had somebody on my Facebook page suggest, I take requests sometimes, and they said it'd be awesome to see a Joan of Arc in my style, and that's great. I'm actually, I love that idea. I'd like to draw her. But it's hard to do like a deep dive and do that live. So right now I'm actually reading a Joan of Arc novel, or not novel, I guess, a book about Joan of Arc, nonfiction, by Mark Twain of all people. Apparently he wrote one of the major biographies on her. And, I mean, good writer. It's freaking Mark Twain, of course it's good. So that's what I'm going to use as my base. So I haven't started on any sketches or anything yet, but that will probably be my next big painting. And I figure having more sketches and then having, you know, more deep dives, you can see some of my more in-depth work, but also it's probably going to be a little boring if I just keep to long-form paintings just all the time. So that's kind of what I'm doing here, and it'll give me content to post throughout the week that isn't a live stream, because keeping up, I was doing 3 days a week for my live stream, and that was a little exhausting, you know. Maybe at some point when if I can make this like a full-time thing, I'd be more than happy to do more live streams, but I'm still kind of figuring out my stuff with it, and, you know, that, I think it's one of those things where you gotta build your muscles up, so, which is something I haven't done since college, honestly. I'm having to build up my stamina for drawing animation. So, that's kind of how I like to look at it. So, and the other thing is when you're concentrating on things like facial features, it can be a little hard to talk and see, I can't even do it. Talk and draw. So, let me try and get this done. Let's see. liking that. Too many gesture lines tends to clutter up a drawing and make it look confusing. I've done plenty of panels at conventions as an artist, and like one of the like ongoing questions that I always hear is, what's the hardest thing to draw? And everybody always says horses, which is true. Horses suck. But I think I have a pretty close contender, and that is teeth. Because you want to put some detail in order to make sure it reads as teeth, but too much detail, and it's like something straight out of a horror comic. Horror comic, not horror comic. That's something else entirely. But yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. I do not enjoy drawing teeth. Or horses, for that matter. My horses do not look good. Let's see, he's got a definite cleft chin there. That gives me more of an excuse to draw men. I draw a lot of women, so this is actually nice. Okay, there we go. So yeah, now I'm gonna fit the helmet on better. I actually didn't realize, I did like kind of really brief looking on Wikipedia, but I didn't realize Peacemaker's actually been around since the 60s. So I got kind of a big read pile, but I do plan on picking up Gail Simone's Secret Six to read, since I am kind of interested in Suicide Squad now. So that's what I'll be reading, at least at some point in the near future. Let's see. Seems like okay. Okay, there we go. It's starting to look more like him. Waiting to see at different conventions how many flash mobs there are of the intro dance. I've also had that song stuck in my head all week. So if I didn't think I'd get flagged for, copyright, I would totally play it now. But copyright is a thing, and I don't want to get, in YouTube jail, so. But I do enjoy it. don't think anybody, like, skips the intro to that. Let's see. Bring this down here. And from what I've seen, from just, like I said, what little I looked up on Wikipedia about Peacemaker, yeah. Doesn't look like his character design has really changed a whole lot. Like, that helmet shape is straight out of his 60s design. And I'm just kind of looking right now to see how... I'm going to turn down the brightness just a bit. Just to see if I can make it a little bit easier to see for anybody who is looking at. Hang on 1 second. Trying to just look and see. Oh, there it is. Sorry, I was trying to like look at my stream live just to make sure everything's looking alright. So, yep, nothing in the chat, so, which is A-okay. Alright. Okay, we're getting into the there we go. Yeah, that's making sure it's symmetrical. There we go. Yeah. And then yeah. Helps if I draw with sound effects sometimes. Okay. And by the way, like I said, I've seen John Cena, you know, wrestle live. And, I mean, obviously you can see it in, you know, on the show and everything and in the movie. But He is freaking huge. Like, even just seeing him from a distance in the wrestling ring, it's like, God, that dude is massive. Just really freaking jacked. Okay. I totally did not just do a pinch thing to zoom out or anything. You didn't see that. I may have been drawing on my iPad a lot. Oh, technology. Yeah, I find I do that a lot. If I've been drawing on my iPad a lot, I will actually catch myself sometimes when I'm drawing something in pencil, wanting to look at it closer and actually doing that or zooming out. Okay. Okay, so that's gonna be okay. And yeah, I'm gonna bring his arm up more right here. There we go. Do that. Almost kind of looks like Dragon Ball Z armor. I mean, this part right here, anyway. Which I just guess you can't really see on the screen. But yeah, this right here reminds me of Dragon Ball Z armor. Just a random observation from me. Okay. So... Okay. Okay, and while I was in LA, I actually got some really cool pens. And here's the ink. I got some Sumi ink. I went to Little Tokyo. It's actually one of my favorite places to go. I go there every time I'm out there. But there is a bookstore called Kinokuniya, which has a lot of, art books, manga, all kinds of cool stuff. And I know they have them in LA. San Francisco has a store, and I want to say New York and somewhere in Texas. But yeah, they also have a whole bunch of art supplies. So yeah, I got this Sumi ink. Kuretake is my favorite brand for pens and inks, but I got that. And then I actually got, I got some ink on my hands, is what I got. I got these drawing pens that, when you open them, they actually come with their own little cartridges that you fill yourself, which is why I have the ink. There's some little eyedroppers. There it is. Yeah, because I filled one earlier. And you just take whatever ink you want, and you squeeze it in these things. And it's actually pretty cool. I really enjoy how they work, and that's actually what I use to ink this. So yeah, let's see how it does on Peacemaker. Probably should have. We'll see how it behaves. When I did King Shark, I laid the watercolor down first and then inked over it. So I guess we're gonna see how this goes. And the watercolor I will be using, I haven't really used it on the stream yet, but it is Koi watercolors. So, and you can tell I've used it quite a bit already. Yeah. Figured I'd do a little bit of that, give my inks a break. I actually have a drafting brush upstairs that I need to bring down in order to brush off all of the pencil erasing, so I'm not like smudging it with the side of my hand. that feel when you put too many lines in a neck. Okay. Oops. Okay, I'm actually gonna be right back. I need to hit, the way I put it to my cats is I need to use my litter box to put it, you know, on a level they can understand because they're cats. So let's see, I will be right back in just a moment. So yeah, let me write this down for anybody who tunes in while I am gone. Okay. There we go. Here, I'll do that so you can see his face. Okay, I will be right back. Right. And I am back. Thank you for being so patient. I've been really enjoying some hard seltzer drinks, so, you know, it caught up with me. By the way, if you're in Kansas City, Quirk, good stuff, and they're not even paying me. Okay, so, I'm gonna get back to inking this. Realized I got really caught up into inking, like I'm just like doing this in silence, so. But hopefully that's not a problem. There we go. At least I can, you know, put in shadows and stuff. If I don't like how the lines turned out. Okay. And in case anybody was curious, what these index cards I have taped to the sides are for, it's for color swatches when I do eventually get to color. I like to be able to test it off to the side, and I figure, plus my little Taco Panda off to the side here, yeah, he doesn't really stand out against the dark background on my desk, so I need to actually put a white outline around him. But that's, yeah, that's kind of mostly why, you know, I have it there, in case I need to test color swatches for markers or whatever. Kind of the general outline of his head. Now I'm going to get kind of the lines in it. I guess apparently the choreographer for the intro specifically designed the dance to be really easy for non-dancers to learn. So, like I said, I'm hoping for flash mobs or something once convention season starts. And I can't tell if there's something stamped like in this little spot or not. It looks like there is, but it's so reflective it's hard to tell. Let's see, and then because it's reflective, and hopefully I didn't just get my big head in the way of the camera. Let's see. Yeah, reflective surfaces are fine. Okay. And yeah. There we go. Yeah, when you get reflective surfaces like that, you just kind of go with the flow. Don't get too intimidated by it because, you know, you can, there's actually quite a bit of leeway, you know, if you're familiar with the shape of what you're drawing, which you should be, then, you know, there's quite a bit of leeway in, you know, kind of putting your lights and darks in without it being a huge deal. Okay. And I'm getting really into drawing this. I hope I have time to do other members of the Suicide Squad. If I need to, I can do another episode. But I was thinking about my next stream being Futurama themed. Hopefully they can work something out with John DiMaggio, because that would be a shame to not have him back as Bender. This would be a perfect time for that handy dandy drafting brush that I forgot to bring down with me. Go ahead and get a vein in there. Sorry, opening a beverage. Okay, what I'm going to do for this is, that was my brush tip for this pen, and then I have another one that's just kind of a fine felt tip. So, I think I'm the drawing equivalent to people who get really into smoking and have to roll their own cigarettes. Only instead, I'm like, oh, I really like inking. I'm gonna, you know, start filling my own ink. Same concept. Okay. Not really much of a gun person, but I'm going to give this my best shot. No pun intended. And I guess a lot of that is getting kind of cut off down at the bottom. I think I need to work on my layout and camera placement because it is, I think, a little bit distorted. I think I have it kind of tilted a little bit because he's looking a little bit longer than what I'm seeing in person. Like, it's more proportional. So, yeah, just know that when you're positioning cameras and everything like this for drawing, it's really hard. So, yeah. But also, yeah, I've noticed a little bit of this is getting cut off on the bottom, more than I thought. So I'm gonna have to try and make sure to, I think I need to just put in like some guidelines with masking tape and try to get it to kind of fit a certain way. My goal right now is to go in and find one thing that I want to improve on this stream every week. So I think putting in some guidelines so I can make a better camera angle and orientation is going to be my next goal, so you guys can see everything fully. It's very much a DIY affair. I am still very much learning. Let's see. There's like a little notch there. I don't know what that's for. Not a fan of guns, but they are kind of fun to draw. Okay, and I'm just going to do some hatching along here. Doesn't look like it's quite as long as the one here, so I'm actually going to move up here so you guys can actually see what I'm doing. The other fun thing is, especially with bulkier gloves, you don't have to be quite as precise with hands. I mean, I don't really have much of a problem drawing hands. It can be a little bit of a challenge. I mean, I know a lot of people struggle, and I get it. Still not as bad as feet, but mostly that's because I don't enjoy looking at feet. We had this conversation last stream. But, yeah. Big bulky gloves kind of make it a little bit more forgiving, I think. Let's see, and that's gonna be, his wrist is gonna be a little bit different. I think his forearm's a little too long. I thought something didn't look right. Let's see, and I'll just do that. Let's see, yeah. Gotta kind of stretch for a second. Okay. Sorry, my neck was cramping up a little bit. Okay. And for anybody who is wanting to get, like, seriously into drawing, that is something I highly recommend is... hang on one second. There we go. Yeah, his forearm was way too long. But yeah, definitely get into stretching exercises for your neck, shoulders, lower back, wrist, arms, hands, you know. Because otherwise, yeah, it can cause some problems. Let's see. And for anybody who is wondering, the length from your shoulder to your elbow is the same from your elbow to your wrist. So that's how I knew that was way too long. Because see, if it were even, his elbow would have been down here, and that's not the right place for that. So instead, burp, burp. Let's see. And it's going to kind of forearm curves a little bit more this way. Okay, there we go. And then, yeah, things like this are good spots for this tip. Okay. And now I am going to switch back to my brush pen. There was a little metal ball that goes in this cartridge that I lost, so technically I only have one cartridge. And even though it looks full, that's because a lot of it kind of sloshed around. I need to refill this real quick. So what I do is, I got my ink in here. And the biggest thing to watch out for is some of this will bubble out just because of change of pressure. So just try not to make a mess. I'm going to do this off to the side so I don't get ink all over the drawing. Alright, squeeze the rest back into the bottle and put my pen back together. Still a little new to this pen, so I'm kind of messy, but you know, what can you do? My hands are already kind of green because I dyed my hair the other day. Did a mix of Manic Panic's Enchanted Forest, which is like a forest green, and Electric Lizard, which is a lime green. So, yeah, it's pretty rad. Okay, back to Peacemaker. Okay. Okay, I'm actually going to draw what is in his pockets here first. Just because of, you know, overlapping items. Oh, right. Alright, so there's that. This belt is going to come up here, and these are kind of on a slant. trying to see. Yeah, you guys can see that. Okay. I'm actually going to bring that down a little bit. That can be kind of a shadow. Just so you know, when you see a lot of comic artists do kind of large black shades with a lot of shadow, they probably made an inking mistake and are covering it up. It's all part of being an artist. You take your mistake and you figure out how to spin it. And actually, I kind of want to put some hatching there. There we go. All right. And my reasoning for telling you that, dear viewer, is because I know for the longest time I was scared to death of inking because I'd really get attached to my pencils and not want to mess it up. And I mean, if you want to be any kind of artist, you kind of have to accept that as a risk. But yeah, I mean, it's something that all artists do. Like, your best inkers in the world make mistakes, just like I did with the lines in his neck. I didn't like how that looked. So, it's there a little bit still, but, you know, I can just kind of block that out, and it doesn't ruin the drawing unless I, do something really jacked up like that. It's not going to hurt it. So... yeah, my biggest advice that I could give for inking is lean into it and just kind of go with it. If you're inking with brushes, for example, you have very little control over things. So just kind of go with the flow. Sometimes it's not going to make the line that you're expecting, and that's okay. Just figure out how to run with it. Those mistakes will actually improve the quality of your inking if you do that with brushes anyway, which is kind of my preferred way to do it. It makes it look a lot more loose and organic, and you may see those mistakes, and yes, they will drive you nuts, but you figure out how to, that's kind of part of how stylistic choices come to be. I'm not a big proponent for new artists clinging to a style right away, because I think that actually hinders you when you're still learning how to draw. So I'm, a big fan of drawing from observation, learning your proportions, learning your gestures, like I've talked about. Really get the basics down, and when you start getting those basics down and you start playing around with your media, that's where style comes from. And that's how you get that, and it comes very naturally. Don't fight it, don't force it. You're only hurting yourself. And it's one of those things that I knew, quote unquote, being in high school, being in my early 20s in college, learning all that, but it's something to really kind of take to heart. Don't rush through the basics or the foundation stuff, the quote-unquote boring stuff, once again, air bunnies, because you're bored with it and you want to get a style. Don't rush to get a style. In fact, I would say put that off as long as you can. And just draw from observation, because it's going to come. It's kind of like, Sorry, this is going to be where I talk a lot, so I'm just going to go ahead and put a cap on this so I don't accidentally all over the drawing. It's kind of like that episode of My Little Pony where the younger ponies, I haven't watched it in a while, are wanting to get their cutie mark, and they're trying all these different things, and they're not getting it. The cutie mark being the little charm symbol on their butts. Yeah, so, you know, it's like, it's this allegory for puberty, but it's basically the same thing. You're learning all the basics. If you're a kid, you're learning how to human. However your personality is as a kid isn't going to be how you are as an adult. It's not going to be how you are as a teenager. Forcing a style too early is taking how you are at 14 years old and clinging to that into forever. You're going to hit your 30s and you're just going to look at yourself and go, I am a total tool and who has never matured. That's what adopting a style too early is like to me. If you're wanting kind of, like, I don't know if that's a metaphor or whatever it is. I'm sure my friend is probably watching me right now and shaking her head. And somehow that came into cutie marks. I don't know. I think I need to lay off these seltzers. But yeah. They come from exploring and learning and then making those mistakes. It was kind of the gist of my tangent. So, because the very worst thing that you can, and I know this because I've known plenty of people like this, you know, throughout the years, but the worst thing you can do is ask a professional for feedback, get their feedback, and then go, oh, it's fine the way it is, or that's just my style. It's infuriating, and like I said, you're doing yourself a huge disservice by doing that. I actually had that one time, an acquaintance, her drawing is fine. It's kind of it's your very run-of-the-mill anime. Like, it wasn't bad. Just, there was room for improvement, I'll say that. And, she asked me about my coloring. And I went through I probably explained about an hour's worth of my process. And, she kind of just took it in, was silent. And at the very end, I was like, do you have any questions? Like, what do you think? You've been real quiet. And she just kind of goes, oh, I think my stuff is fine the way it is. And I was just kind of like, why did you ask me then? It's kind of a personal rant, but it is kind of a thing that I think is a little, I guess, be considerate of people's time, Okay. And I'm getting to, well, this is supposed to be a 2-hour stream, and I am about an hour and a half in, and I've only done one drawing. Yeah. I think, in the future, I love Harley Quinn's red dress, so I am going to do that in the future. I'm going to go ahead and finish this on here since I only have about a half hour. And yeah, I'm just feeling some Peacemaker right now. So yeah. And I'm just going to go really simple with watercolor washes. Because I'm not sure how this watercolor is actually going to... I don't know if this Sumi ink is waterproof, and I don't think it is. So I'm going to have to approach this very carefully. And I'm just finishing this really quick. Apologies, because I know you guys can't really see that very well, and I got this taped down. Okay. So that's there. And I'm gonna say, because of that, his thigh is going to be over here. And now I got some other shadows that I kind of want to add in. So yeah. Let's see, I think I'm gonna kind of... There we go. Okay. Oh, and his little dove here. I might have to draw eagly in the future. Okay. So, comes in, curves out. So yeah, there's that. And got my brushes all cleaned up and raring to go. I'm gonna go ahead and actually erase some of these big lines. Since I have it, I will go ahead and here, I can at least use this. I don't like smudging my hands on the side of it and, you know, making a mess that way, so. I'm kind of being careful too with erasing because I don't want to get where I've just inked and smudge that with my eraser, so. This helmet should be safe by now. And I can kind of look and adjust inking from there too. And nobody in the chat today. Kind of weird. I mean, I don't mind, but I'm lonely. See, I kind of smudged it a little bit right there. That's at least small, though. Okay. So now, let's see. I'm gonna go in. I'll do the background in a nice blue. We'll do a kind of a navy blue color. Since most of his costume is red and white, he's got some blue accents, but okay, it's not really a navy blue, it's more of a little bit brighter than that, but that's okay. Looks more like a royal blue. That's okay. I can work with it. And yeah, I'm just kind of doing a rough white outline. So that'll also help with keeping it from being getting the ink too wet. I'm not going to go too crazy on paint splatters or anything like that. I'm going to keep this really simple. I'm just doing washes. All right, so get a little bit closer in here. All right, so that takes care of the background. This is the other reason why I kind of want to do like this type of stuff. It's, I figure, a little more interesting to watch a quick wash than to watch me, you know, try to blot and dry a whole bunch of paint. Okay, next I'm going to do my layer of shadows. I'm actually going to go in with that same blue, I think. Alright, so we'll do... Yeah, it's not waterproof. That's good to know. And what I'm going to do, since the shadows are blue, is for his blue clothing, I'm just going to go in with a different shade of blue over this and just make it a really light wash. So, and make sure to avoid... make sure to avoid the lines, because I'm just kind of going to lean into the fact that I'm kind of mixing the ink with the watercolor, and it's kind of graying it out just a tiny bit, so that can kind of work to my advantage when it comes to making this into a shadow. Yeah, like I said, you kind of make decisions as you go. And any other inking that I'm going to do, because I think I'm going to do some more around the eyes, but I think a lot of that is going to be after the watercolor. And then I also have these in case I have excess. I have these pieces of paper here too in case I have excess water on my brush. I can just kind of put it off here so I'm not like, so stuff isn't running everywhere, because this is at a tilt. All right. Alright. So this is at least getting the shadows done. I can probably get started on a little bit more of the flats, because I'm mostly just going to go shadows, flat color, and then highlights. So, but I need to give this a chance to dry first, so. I will be posting more of this, I'll be posting the full video later, but in case I don't have it finished, yeah, I'll record the rest of it and totally give that to you guys to see. Because right now, yeah, I gotta let the paint dry. I think I can at least get, like, his helmet and skin. Yeah, that's dry enough. Let's see here. We'll just kind of work from the top down. Some of that black is kind of mixing in. Let's see. Yeah, see, it's kind of turning a little bit green. I'll just say this is a less saturated version. We can make it work. The other thing I like about watercolor is the brushes are so easy to clean. Let's see, I'll go with kind of a yellowy brown color. I mean, I guess it's more, is it brass? No, I mean, it seems like silver, but it's a little more yellowy than that. add just some of the slightest yellow tones to it. And then I'm going to be adding some red in there as well, reflecting off of his. Okay, we'll add some red later. Let's see. In fact, we may start adding red right now, as a matter of fact. I'm gonna do his tongue. And actually, I'm gonna add just a touch to his skin, just to kind of warm it up a little. Bit too saturated. There we go. You know what? If it runs long, it runs long. I don't have any reason to keep a strict schedule, so I'm just going to finish this on the camera. Okay. So I think I'm going to layer some red. Of course, it's mixing with the blue, so it's becoming kind of purple, but that's what happens when you mix red and blue. Okay, he's got a red border around his little dove. And actually, I probably should have dry brushed this. There we go. Add a little bit of life to his skin color there. Plus he's wearing red, so, you know, your skin color tends to reflect a lot of what you're wearing anyway. So if you're wearing something like red, it'll kind of show up in your skin. Like it just kind of color reflects. Light reflects, color reflects, you know. Okay, and like I said, I'm going to use a lighter blue and I'm going to water it down, so it's going to be a really light, blue for this, just so it reads as light and shadow. You know, another thing I like about Peacemaker's design, looking at it, like I said, it really hasn't changed since the 60s, from what I could tell. But also, it's kind of that, like, its primary colors, basically. I mean, you got your red, white, and blue, but you got your yellow there. It's not the dark and gritty design that you see. I don't know. Everything with DC just got that gritty reboot because of Christopher Nolan's Batman. And in a lot of cases, I thought it was kind of unwarranted with the overall tone with some of DC's stuff. So this is actually pretty nice. Like, it's kind of got a retro feel, but it's also got those bright colors. Like, they actually leaned into kind of that corny superhero look without apologizing for it. It's like, it's fine that it's corny. They're superheroes, you know. But you know, it's not. It's okay. Just own up to it, you know. It's a distinctly American thing, and we are a corny people. So, but yeah, it's just something that I was kind of observing while painting this, and I have come to appreciate about it. And I forgot that little spot of blue on his shoulder. And I do appreciate stories like this, like Peacemakers too, and like Suicide Squad, because it is a little more complicated. It's getting superheroes out of just special effects and actually getting them into more complicated stories, because I think there's a lot of moral complexity with superheroes, and a lot of them are vigilantes, and you see a lot of that with Batman. But, I think there's a lot more interesting stories to be told, so that's another reason why I actually am appreciating more of this, because I was getting very superheroed out. Because everything kind of hits that same note, it seems like. But then there would be things like The Boys, which I also really enjoy. That may be another theme I do in the future. Let's see. I'll use, a little bit of a warmer yellow. Okay. And then I'm going to let this dry. Luckily, watercolor dries kind of quickly, and then I'll put the white highlights on, and then I will call it done. Which I won't be running over by much, so. 2 hours stream. I'm gonna bump it back, I think, by an hour, just to allow for it gives me a little more time to get things kind of set up. Like I've mentioned in the past, I do Instacart deliveries for a living, and weekends are usually my busiest time. So that gives me a chance to finish up whatever I'm doing, come home, eat something, relax for a minute, and then actually get things set up for the stream. So that extra hour actually would be very helpful. So that's probably what I'm going to do in the future. Instead of 6 p.m. on Sundays, I will be here for you at 7. And yeah. It's just going to be kind of a brief break. I'm just letting this, dry, and then I can add the finishing touches. quite as thin as I would have liked. There we go. There we go. I'll do a little bit of highlight right there. Okay. I'm just kind of dotting it in. Gives it a little bit of texture and makes the white line a little less harsh. And then, you know, sometimes you add a highlight and it makes him look like he was in the Got Milk commercials. There we go. Hopefully. I don't know. I'll look at it later and decide how I feel about that. I don't think those commercials are a thing anymore, are they? Well, for any youngsters watching this, that was a popular commercial campaign in the 90s. Okay. I can actually touch up that edge there. And yeah, sometimes I just like to use it to kind of find edges. There's a highly reflective surface. Okay. Just give them a little bit of border here just to stand out. All right, and I think I'm gonna call this done. So I hope it was fun watching me draw Peacemaker. Hopefully I'll be able to get more characters like in. I think I'll cycle through and I'll just come back and do different Suicide Squad members in the future. Because I really would like to get at drawing Harley Quinn's red dress. But yeah, also I really like Polka Dot Man and Ratcatcher too. So yeah, I do hope you enjoyed watching this, and I think next week it will be Futurama. So yeah, catch me at 7 p.m. on next Sunday. Same batting time, same batting channel. And I will catch y'all later. Bye.